Welcome to All Pro Football Data. My name is Jim Coburn, and today's episode we're going to be talking about Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. We're going to be looking at his production data and other statistical factors to see how he will project in the NFL. Bowers was a pitcher and was inducted into the Utah State Athletics Hall of Fame in 2016. Pretty impressive. What that matters towards his overall projection? But it is a fun fact to kind of know about Brock Bowers, other than just all the statistical data and statistical numbers about him. Now, getting to production data. So if you're new to the channel, new to the stuff that I do, offensive market share scores are essentially raw statistics that are transformed into information that we can use to kind of see how productive they were for the team that they were on. So you take an individual statistic and you divide it by the team total. So say he had 5 touchdowns on a team that had 50, then you would have 10% touchdown market share. You then take that number and then compare it to all of his positional peers, so other tight ends, and that gives you a percentile score, which is also weighted against the age score of him, which gives you an offensive market share score. It essentially tells you how productive he was compared to the team that he was on for his market share. Now, looking at the data for him, the scores are derived from offensive market share. The current database for the tight ends is since the 1969 NFL draft class is 1,535 tight ends. He had an 89.37 receiving market share production score, which is pretty decent. 91.86 total offensive market share score, and a MST or touchdown score of 95.54 out of 100. When you look at his overall production data, he hits the All-Pro average, the All-Pro threshold, and the Pro Bowl average in terms of his overall tight end production, which means he did pretty good. And with all that stuff out of the way, let's get to his efficiency scores. Raw statistics are gathered from a school website or college football reference. The raw statistics are then ranked against positional peers to get a percentile score. That score is weighted against the age score of a prospect. Touchdown percentage is the number of touches divided by total touchdowns. And all those things give you the offensive efficiency scores, which kind of tell you how efficient was he. So he might have got a lot of production, but was he efficient with the football in his hands? Did he get a lot of yards per reception? Did he get a lot of touchdowns when the ball ended up in his hand? These are questions that the efficiency scores ask. And in terms of him, 90 plus percentile in terms of his tight end efficiency scores. He had a 92.13 in terms of yards per reception, 90.75 in terms of his touchdown percentage. These are just fantastic numbers to have in terms of tight end prospects. So not only was he great in terms of his market share at the tight end position, but he also was extremely efficient. So he wasn't just a guy who got a lot of production but then didn't really do much with the football. They were just force feeding them the ball because they didn't have anybody, and he wasn't really doing that well. So this is good. This is a good thing for him. Looking at adjusted production scores, adjusted production scores are where you take the age of a prospect, then you add that age score to the offensive market share scores that we just looked at, strength of schedule score, SRS, which is strength of team score. You add all those scores together, rank them against positional peers, and that gives you the MSA score, which is the market share, strength of schedule, strength of team, and age score. The pass score adds all the scores, so all the market share scores plus all the efficiency scores plus all the age scores and the strength of team and the strength of schedule scores to give you adjusted production, which essentially is context. How productive was he for his age? How productive was he for the level of competition that he played? And how productive was he for the team that he was on? Was he on a great team? Was he on a bad team? These are things that those data points can kind of give you context on. And when it comes to him, he did pretty dang well as well. 99 percentile in terms of his age, 96 percentile in terms of his MSA score, and 96 percentile in terms of his pass score. All those areas hit the All-Pro average, the Pro Bowl average, and every other average you can think of in terms of the tight end position. Just great. In terms of comparisons for him, these are the tight ends that tested similar to him based on his pass score and his other production traits. Keith Cash, Thomas Duarte, who was a recent tight end, TJ Hawkinson, Fred Davis, Jerry Smith, Russ Francis is kind of an oldie but a goodie. Jay Sabaro didn't really translate that well to the NFL, but he was a fantastic tight end in college. But these guys, this is a great group of guys. It really is. Great, fantastic data. So, in terms of his outlook, Brock Bowers profiles as a all-pro to starter based on his overall data profile. The biggest issue might come to his size and other measurement factors because I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. He might be a pocket tight end. A pocket tight end is somebody that I usually say is a tight end that's not 6'4", 6'5", or 6'6". More in the 6'3" or less category. And honestly, based on how he looks, he just looks like a supersized wide receiver. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily, but he's kind of unique in that way. He's not like a Rob Gronkowski. He's not Jimmy Graham. He's more so, again, a halfback or split tight end type guy based on his overall data. That's where the NFL is going, anyways, especially college football. But that is what it is. The biggest issues might come down to his size and other measurement factors, to where he was extremely productive for his level of competition and everything else like that. But how big is he actually? Those are things that we need to answer. Also, most elite tight ends have massive measurements in elite athleticism. Whether you're talking about Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Gates, Jimmy Graham, the list goes on. Most elite tight ends have elite measurements and elite athleticism. It's one of those positions where if you have a guy who is 6'6", 6'7", is 260 plus pounds, can run 4.6 flat or 4.5 flat, and is just incredible in terms of his vertical leap and everything else like that. It's one of those positions where that guy doesn't even really know how to do much as a football player, but he's still going to be productive in the offense because of his size. He's going to be able to tower over cornerbacks and linebackers in many ways. So that's my only real concern about him, is how is he going to test as an athlete. But overall, he does have great, again, overall data. Bowers may not have the traits of most elite tight ends that we've seen over the last 5 to 10 years. He's likely to be a prospect that might underperform his top 10 status. So he's somebody who he may end up dropping out of the top 10 of the draft. And that's okay, because I do see some of the concerns, again, over his measurements and his overall athleticism. But we'll see. Again, am I saying he's not going to be athletic at the combine? No. But if he wasn't athletic at the combine, I think it would kind of really hurt his overall projection. He would still be a starter, but all pro and Pro Bowl tight ends all the time are super athletic players with crazy, insane measurements. And if he doesn't quite hit those marks, I do have concerns for him. But overall, that's Brock Bowers. That's the overall data profile for him. Of course, my name is Jim Coburn. You can follow my other work on Twitter at Gemetrics, at Jimetrics. You can also check out other works on patreon.com/jcoburn if you want to know more information about all the stuff that I do. And thank you guys so much for watching this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!